Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We just need to take this day by day, week by week. You are going to have accountability. No one here is going to judge you because we all were beginners at some point. We all had our day one. And you know that famous line, don't compare your chapter 1 to someone's chapter 20. All of them are about taking things that seem big and scary and making them very small and micro-stepping them one step at a time.
This is the Reinforce Your Gym podcast with your host, Dustin Vogel. This show is about arming gym owners with the tools, strategies, and lessons they need to take their business to the next level. That way, they can make a greater impact in their community. Now, let's get to work and reinforce your gym.
All right, guys, this week we are talking all about fear, all right? F-E-A-R. I like to say that that's an acronym that stands for false events appearing real, right? Our brain is so good at making these pictures in our mind of the worst case scenario, and lo and behold, they rarely ever happen, right? So that's something that I don't tend to struggle with a whole lot because I tend to be a little bit more optimistic. Now, I do have doubts, I do have fears, I do have concerns, but like I want to just talk about what type of fears your clients are having in your gym that they're not saying. These are unspoken fears your clients have right now, and you might not know it or your team might not know it. So this is a great episode to share with your team, your coaches, your managers. Really, it's to lift everyone's awareness, because when you are aware, you can better serve your customers. You can just speak in a way where you can connect better. It just solves so many problems. And that's my goal this episode, is to just raise everyone's awareness around what our clients are feeling and not saying. And I know this because, number one, I used to be my client. I was out of shape. I was 60 pounds of, extra fat on my body that I lost. I also have sold millions of dollars of fitness and talked to so many of our ideal clients. I know the words that they use and the fears that they have. So my goal is to arm you with those so that you don't have to be guessing, what are my clients struggling with? What are they thinking? And you can cut to the chase, make a sale, and change their life. All right. So let's get into it. There's 10 of them that I'm going to talk about. And the first one is one that you probably have seen. And that is, I am too out of shape to get started, right? They feel like the train has left the station. There's no way they can get on board with a fitness program. They're too far gone. They're just going to keep gaining, and it's too late, right? There's nothing they can do. And so this is what makes people consider weight loss surgery, because they're like, that's it. I'm damaged goods. There's no way to be able to do this. And so if you work with beginners or people who are like heavier set or have these kinds of fears, you want to call this out in your marketing. You want to say, we have a beginner-friendly program. We can adjust the workout to your needs, right? So like a lot of times we can say other words, modify, scale, however you want to change it, but just say like, hey, we can adjust this workout to your fitness level. All fitness levels are welcome. We work with beginners. This is their first time in the gym, all the way to an advanced athlete. But like, that doesn't sometimes comfort them, because then they think, well, how many are beginners? So I always wanted to say like, hey, the majority are honestly in the beginner category. Probably 70% of my clients are beginner, because that's who I tended to work with. Your guys' gym might be different, but that's something to call out, and you want to address this during the sales process. So some of these fears will be during you're attracting people to your marketing, when you're talking to them and you're selling them. And then sometimes it's when you're retaining them. They have fears about things that I'll dive into, right? So that's the first fear that you want to be cognizant of, especially with first timers walking through your door. A lot of times it's not your price, it's not your modality, it's they feel like, I'm too out of shape to fit here, right? And that's why I tend to see like a lot of beginners might not be gravitating towards a CrossFit gym, because what's been shown on the marketing is very, very fit people, shirtless guys doing kipping pull-ups. So they're thinking, I'm way too out of shape. That's for someone more advanced. I'll never start there. And so they might be coming to your gym if you don't do that type of training. And so the way to not scare them is to point that out, right? We have a beginner-friendly program. The second one is, I'm going to hurt myself, right? So that kind of ties into the first one, is I think I might get injured. Maybe I've tried working out and I injured myself. And so that's where you can really hone in on, hey, that's why you're going to have a coach. We're going to make sure your form is dialed in. We want to push you, but not injure you. And one thing I always try to emphasize is where you feel the quote unquote pain. And so we'll dive into that in a future fear because that's another one I'm going to have on my list here. But for now, they're just all about safety. So when it's talking to this type of person, it's that your coaches are trained, certified, hopefully that you guys have emergency equipment on standby, first aid kits, AEDs, whatever, fire extinguishers, that you guys are very smart with your program and workout design, and that you want there to be intense moments, but the whole thing won't be intense from start to finish, and that you're doing like bursts of intensity. So like that way it's all like helping them to come to the realization that, okay, I feel safe. Let's go ahead and do it. And the one thing to point out that's pretty obvious is like, hey, it's against my business's success to hurt you. If you're hurt and I'm here hurting all my clients, everyone's canceling, I got no money coming in. So I need to keep you safe so that you can stay on as a client and we can get you your long-term goals. Because when you get hurt, you're on the shelf, which means you're not working towards your goal, right? And so that's what we want to call out. So again, I'm just trying to arm you guys with verbiage of how to disarm someone's fear around this, right? Okay. Third fear is I won't stick with it. All right. That's a real fear that people are like, I've tried so many things and it's not you, it's me type of thing. I quit. I don't stick with it. And so that's a discovery moment to say, well, what did those other programs have? What was missing? What do you think would have helped you stick with it? And usually it comes down to one word, and that's accountability. Most people try things where they are on their own. They're following a workout app. They're going to the open access gym. They're doing some videos at home. All of these don't have any accountability built in. So you could say, haha, that's what's going to be different here. You are going to have accountability. We run reports for who's not coming in. We make sure you're coming in 3 times a week. We care about you. We care about your results. We track your progress. And so we will do these things that it doesn't sound like you got at the other gyms. And that's how you're going to break through that, right? You're going to stick with it this time. But also it's about micro stepping this concern. So like they might think a year from now, and it's like, hey, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We just need to take this day by day, week by week. So it's just like this week, this is your next feet in front of you. I need you to do 3 workouts. Can you do that? That's it. That's all we should be focusing on. Get in here 3 times. And then the next week, can you get in here 3 times again? And let's repeat that. And these are just the ways to kind of help someone go from that big picture and bring it down to a very bite-sized type of decision, right? So our next fear we're going to address, number 4, is I'm going to get hurt. So that's kind of tying back earlier to like that safety concern. And, I don't know what I'm doing. I might hurt myself. The way that you want to address this, because this is more around thinking of the soreness and the pain. And, oh my God, I did one workout and it was so painful. I just never went back. It's education moment. Number 1, you should feel pain. I don't want to say pain, but uncomfortable soreness in your muscles. If you felt it in your joints, you did it wrong, right? When you do lots and lots of squats wrong form, your knees are going to hurt. But you do lots and lots of squats the right way, your quads are sore. So like that's a good delineation I was wanting to point out to my clients. Like you shouldn't have shoulder joint pain, knee pain, elbow pain. We did something wrong. We should be feeling it in the muscles. So that's the first thing to educate them on. The second is like, yes, it will. I'm not going to lie to you. You will be at your maximum sore in the first week or 2 because you are breaking in your muscles. But all of us fitness people, we don't just live in soreness all day, every day. We eventually adapt, and you're going to get some little bouts of soreness here and there, but you're not going to like live in a full body cast the rest of your life. And that's just something, again, they don't know. False events appearing real. They think us fitness people must be crazy. We're constantly sore. And that's my life. That's what it's going to look like. Is that worth paying the price to get healthy and fit? And so you got to educate them. No, you just have the wrong expectation around that. All right. So that's that. All right. Moving on to the next one, number 5. And this is people are going to judge my body or my fitness. Right. And that's valid. Ladies have many times said, I went in the gym, I felt like everyone was looking at me, or, to be in the middle of the room and I'm trying to work on my form and everybody seems like they know what they're doing and I don't. That's intimidating. And that's what tends to draw them more into that fitness studio setting, a little bit more private, a little bit more coaching. People are expected to be beginners. There's just, that fear in their head. People are going to judge me. And so again, the way that you want to reset expectations is like, well, let's kind of get things straight. You probably are not going to keep up with the group because they're all conditioned and they're doing this stuff 3-4 times a week. You're doing it 0. So first, let's break this notion that you have to keep up. You should be taking more breaks. You should not be able to lift as much as they could. And that's normal, but we will build you up and you're going to start to feel really good about yourself. And so again, this is a non-judgmental place of positive vibes only. I use that kind of language. And so no one here is going to judge you because we all were beginners at some point. We all had our day one. And you know that famous line, don't compare your chapter one to someone's chapters 20. So you're here, Mrs. Jones, day one. This is your chapter one. Well, that client you see over there kicking butt in that workout, she's been here 2 years. It's her chapter 20, right? So let's not compare. And so that's some good language to help disarm that fear. All right. Gym owners, I don't want you to have the reputation in town as the gym that doesn't call people back, all right? We know it's critical when someone's finally made a decision to get healthy and fit that we get to them as quickly as possible. This can be solved by plugging in our remote sales reps, okay? It's not AI, it's not a bot, it's a real human that's working on your leads, the new ones that come in from your ads and the old leads in your database. And they're there to qualify the leads, to ask them discovery questions and to make sure they're a good fit. And then their job is to move them forward in your sales process so that you get more members month over month. All right, if you want to learn about our remote sales reps, go ahead and go to gymreinforcements.com, book a call, and we'll tell you more about it. See you then. Okay, moving on to our next one. I don't know if I can afford this long term, right? Okay, so I bite the bullet. I do it for a month, 3 months, 6 months. But like, what if something happens, right? There's all that fear usually starts with 2 words. What if? What if I move? What if my husband loses his job? What if I get laid off? What if an unexpected bill comes up? Will I be stuck in a contract, right? And so most of us these days know that in fitness, at least for the most part, people are expecting month-to-month agreements and be able to get out of them relatively easily. And most of us offer that just so that we can make it easy to come on board. But at the end of the day, the way that I disarm people around this fear is I said, hey, can I be honest? I'm in this business to help people, not to take advantage of them. And I bet if I was, I'd have a lot of 1-star reviews and people talking smack about me online and have a terrible reputation. So did you look at our reviews? Did you see any of that? No. Do you see any people here like running up to me and screaming at me and saying, why are you taking advantage of me and drafting my car and all this? I think it's pretty safe to say we're going to take good care of you, right? That's just kind of how I jokingly disarm someone who said, I don't want to be in a long-term contract. I don't know if I can afford this. And just say, hey, you know, life, I get it. It's full of curveballs and something might come up, but also transparently, it also might not. And so we'll cross that bridge when we get there. If you offer like a 6 and a 12 month, obviously you can push them more towards the 6. You should be charging more for less commitment. But just be transparent, be honest, have a heart-to-heart, talk through. Have you heard any clues that you are going to be losing your job or your husband or whatever? It's just like bringing it down into a very actionable, tangible way. I heard it said this way is like the best way to like make something a fact is to make it appear in the observable world, right? When it's non-observable, we're just in our heads and we're making things up and we're dreaming and fearing and creating nightmares, but it's not here. It's not anywhere observable, right? A fact is something you can see in the observable world. So it's like, can you make this more present here, like tangible, like show me an example of how this is working. So that would be like, they got a text saying, uh-oh, my friend got laid off, or the boss says I need to plan a meeting to talk about your compensation. That's observable. Otherwise, it's just like living in fear, and that's no way to live, right? And unfortunately, a lot of people do. So that is that. All right, next one. I'm not in the right age category. I'm too old. I'm too young from the other people I see here. And I often tell gym owners, this is what really people are saying when they say, I want to come down to your gym. It's not that they want to see the equipment. They're not typically a sophisticated buyer that knows the brands of equipment and what type of equipment you have and what equipment they need to get in shape and how much space. We're so proud to say, again, the square footage of our space. Like they care what the difference is between 3,000, 6,000, 10,000. They don't care. No one's looking at that. What they're looking at is the other people in your sessions, and are they of similar age, and do they have a similar fitness level or a goal body that they want? That's what they're looking at, right? So if they come in and I'm 60 and I come in and all your clientele is 25, doesn't matter about price, doesn't matter what you offer, I'm already out because birds of a feather flock together. I want to find people in my similar age range and train with them. And that's why I love a lot of gyms offer a 55 plus dedicated group, because that exclusivity, but they're also drawn to train with people of the same age. And so that's what you can find. So it could go the other way. If I'm 25, I walk in, you train seniors, I'm like, oh, I don't want to train here. Those ain't my people. And so that is very realistic, and that is a fear. And you can't really do anything about that one other than really get clear on the demo you want to serve and carve out session times that serve that demo. And if you want another demo, I mean, it's very logical when we take this to the extreme. If you do adult training and then you want to launch a kids program, you'd never mix them in with your adult. You'd say that doesn't make sense. Kids need their own dedicated type of programming, and it's more play and it's more fun, or sprint drills or whatever. So I'm going to make a kids program. But with adult, we just can kind of jumble everybody together. And I would argue that it's not the way to do it. Look at the decades of life that people go through and what are their common goals and pain points, and build a workout program around that, right? Typically, when you get 50 plus, even 60 plus for sure, it's more about like getting rid of pain, aches and pains, extending life, longevity, health, balance, those types of things. And the younger decades, it could be definitely more vanity, but there's definitely health reasons. And then kids, it might be just about winning sports, right? So it's like, get very clear on who you serve and what problem you help them with, and just stay very niche on that. So that'll help you with that. Okay, next fear. I'm going to get nickel and dimed and pressured into buying more and more stuff, right? And stuff could be personal training, supplements, gear, upgrades. Maybe there's just, random fees, facility upgrade fees. Like, they're just going to push me to keep buying things. There's going to be all these hidden costs because I had that at another gym. That is a real fear people have around gyms. What are the fees that I don't see that you guys are going to pop up on me out of nowhere? And so the easy answer is to just be fully transparent, right? Tell them everything up front. There should be nothing that you kind of hold back. I'm a big fan of even telling the way in and the way out type of scenario. So it's like, hey, when you come on, is there an enrollment fee? What's the monthly? What's the facility fee? Upgrade fee? What are all the fees? And then if you leave, what are the fees for freezing, canceling? Let's just like be transparent, say there's nothing hidden, everything, every situation, and that way you can make an informed decision, right? That's really the only answer to getting around that fear, right? Around nickel and diming. Next fear. My schedule is too unpredictable, right? It feels all over the place. And some months I might be able to make it here, some weeks, some months I won't. And so that's a fear I have. And I don't think I'm gonna get the most out of the program. And for that reason, I'm not gonna sign up, right? That's a fear you've probably encountered in a sales scenario. So what you want to do is, I do a little bit of time management coaching. I'm like, okay, walk me through your day. Where could we find a time you could get here? Because sometimes, again, they're zoomed out and they can't get zoomed in and micro decide. So it's like, I'll help you. What does your day look like? Walk me through it. And then when it changes, what do you mean by that? Again, I like to hold people accountable from getting away from vagueness and into specifics. So it's like, my schedule changes. What does that mean? You got to stay later 1 more hour, or your days that you work change, your shift changes. Like, walk me through it. And so you can sometimes logically help someone to that decision, but then sometimes they could be in the state of stress of just change means like, I don't deserve routine. I can't make time for myself. Everything else must be given attention and I come last. I'll sacrifice myself. And so then it's more of a mindset coaching session of like, hey, you see like celebrities and they got crazy schedules, like they make it work, right? I always point out, like, however many kids you have, there is a client here that has one more, or has one more job, or has one more responsibility. So it's just like, if the easiest thing to think about always, if someone else can do it, I can do it. So I could say, do you believe there's someone in the world with your exact same schedule that is finding a way to get to the gym? And that is a great tie down question, because it makes them just get very obvious. Yeah, I'm sure there is. Okay, so why can't you? Let's get real honest here. Like, why do you think you couldn't do it? Because it's just a think. It's not a can. It's you think you can. And so like, why do you think you can't make this time, right? So that's kind of how we can get around that. And then also give them permission. It's okay to do a little bit less some weeks. I know I'm pressuring you to get in here 3-4 times a week. If there's a week you only do 2, that's okay. It's better than 0. And guess what? If there's a week you can do 0, I can still coach you how to stay on track with your diet and hit your steps, so we can stay in a fat burning momentum, right? What we don't want is, we don't want to just go down to 0 and just do nothing. And, that's obviously going to be a big, big issue, right? And then the final part is the nutrition, right? And so a lot of times people will put in things like, I don't want fish on my meal plan, and I don't want to eat eggs, and I don't care for protein powder. And so that's why I just can't do this program or follow this diet. And so obviously we know, as people who've coached people around nutrition, we can modify. And heck, no one has an excuse with ChatGPT. If you got a meal plan, dump it into ChatGPT and tell it what the client doesn't want. They don't want eggs. They don't want protein powder. Please revamp. Brrr, boom. You got the customized meal plan for that client. And you can even coach the client how to use ChatGPT. It's like, hey, you're at a restaurant, I mean, you can ask it right there. Hey, I'm at Panera Bread. I need something high protein, low carb. Give me my top 3 menu items. Brrr, it'll just tell you. It's like the best tool ever. So if you're not coaching your clients on using ChatGPT, that's what can separate you from everyone else. But yeah, basically, again, there's something about this diet that might not fit in for me or I don't want. And so therefore I will fail. And so it's just like, nope, just like anything in life, we have to learn to adjust. And that's why I'm so glad you're working with me. I'm going to show you how to navigate the holidays and birthday parties and vacation. When you go out to eat, these are the things I need to coach you around out of the gym. It's not just about what you do in the gym, right? And so that is a fear you can address that way, is just making, as you see, like there's a theme here. All of them are about taking things that seem big and scary and making them very small and micro-stepping them one step at a time, right? That's what we do as coaches. So guys, those are the fears that your clients might not be saying to you, but their behaviors and their thoughts are living in these fears. And so one thing you can do is just call them out after your sessions, bring up a fear every day or every week and just address them. Like I was talking to a client the other day and there's fear around this. Let me tell you my thoughts around that. You could put into your marketing, and then you definitely need to train your team on how to just attack these fears head on and address them and disarm them. That's really what it comes down to. So if you like this episode, let me know. Tag me on social media, and of course, give me a good old 5-star review so that I continue to make these things for you guys. All right. Appreciate you. See you on the next episode. Hey, gym owners, let's face it, you probably don't love digital marketing. You probably don't want to go into Facebook and load the ad up and think of ad copy and creatives and optimize it daily. Well, hand that over to me and my team, because we're geeks about marketing and we want to flood your gym with new members so you can change their life. Let us do what we do best. All right, go to gymreinforcements.com, book a call. Don't bring the credit card. It's not a hard pitch. It's just a conversation to see if we're a good fit. Talk soon.